Hello everyone, my name is Nicholas Peterson. I am currently a student at the University of Wisconsin-River Falls, and for my senior seminar project, I'm going to be developing a 2D game. The majority of the research I'm going to be conducting, both prior to and during the development process, is going to mostly come from online. I really don't have a mentor per se, so it's kind of a solo project, but that doesn't mean I wouldn't turn down any help that was offered. So, why game development? Well, in the summer of 2012, I created a game called Pong Blocks, and it's basically a cross between Pong and Brick Breaker or Arkanoid, and this is I had a lot of fun doing that. I learned a lot, um, some of the do's, some of the don'ts, and so in fall 2013, I took part in an independent study and pretty much just refactored the code, cleaned it up, broke it into more um, organized chunks, and just made it overall easier to work with for potential future projects. And so, coming back to today, for my senior seminar project, I'd like to create a totally new game, 2D top-down, sort of an exploration game, um, using using the same code base, so C++, SDL, OpenGL. I'll be developing this on Linux, and I really won't be using any IDE in particular, so I'll just go with Vim. Um, so as for the timeline, uh, certain priorities that need to be done. There are things that I'd really like to do, but some things need to happen before those can happen. So right here I have listed a list of the bare bones. This is what needs to have happen, and if all these happen, I will consider the project a complete success. There are other things that aren't on here that I'd like to do, and if I have time, I will do them and get them added, but if not, oh well. So let's go over what some of these are. During the month of February, which is I've completed the following, which is just general cleanup of the code, and I added a system by which just interaction between game objects and scenes and views and stuff. And what I'm currently working on now, which is pretty fun, is the terrain generator. This is going to be an exploration game, so we need to give the player something to explore. Um, so I'm looking forward to working with animations later in early April here, and then even later on in mid-April I'm going to be working with just trying to get the player objects and the other objects in the world like trees and terrain and just to all kind of interact more with each other and collision and moving from different scenes to another scene. So let's look at the basic structure of the program. It's nothing terribly complicated. The user runs the game, then the terrain is generated. The game places the player in the world somewhere, and the user controls the player entity with either this thing, a keyboard, or also going to be have the ability to control the character with a USB Xbox 360 controller. I'm gonna, for the most part, ignore mouse input. I just don't think that's in the scope of the project. So more potentially console oriented. Yeah. So as for the use case, the player really doesn't need to worry about too much. They just start the game, they run around in there a bit, and then they restart the game or exit the game. And yeah, so moving forward, the question you might have is, what is the gameplay like? Is it going to be any fun? Well, it's a good question, because gameplay really determines what the development is going to be like. If I have no clue what the game is going to be, how do I know how to develop it? So I do have some ideas of the kind of gameplay I'd like to have, but if you notice back on the timeline, I didn't really put anything down for gameplay. That's because I don't think it's going to happen. If I have time, I'll certainly try to put them in, but the scope of this project, I think, is really just a nice, strong base for future projects yet again. Um, we'll see, though. Maybe I'll be surprised. Um, I do plan on having creating a demo video pretty soon to kind of show off more in depth what I currently have and what I've been working on in the past. That just goes more in depth. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I'll try to get back to them. Um, or you can ask me in class. Farewell.